Hey, what's up, everyone, and welcome back to this week's Weekly D, where we're talking about everything social media. And today I have the lovely Charlotte Robertson on with me, and we're talking about how she created a personal brand and then took that personal brand to create what is now Aura Activewear. This is an activewear company that she's been doing for the last 4 years, and it is absolutely going crazy. She is killing it. And I wanted to talk to her about how she transitioned from being very much an influencer to an actual brand selling clothing. So this is going to be a super interesting discussion. I'm super excited for you to hear it. So without further ado, this is the Weekly D, because honey, if you ain't getting your D on the daily, you better at least be getting it once on the weekly.
If you're not getting any and you want some tea, then come and join Dan up on the Weekly D. It's the Weekly D.
Oh, hello. It's the gorgeous Charlotte joining me. Thank you so much for joining me again on the podcast. I know I've had you on here. Is this your third time as well? Is this your second time now?
Only my second, Dan.
Second. I literally just chatted, literally just before this with Becky. I said to Becky, I was like, is this your second? Or she was like, this is my third time. I was like, oh, I've obviously got my favourite people that I speak to, you know? So it's so good to have you on. As you know, this whole series I'm doing is all about social media, but specifically I wanted to talk to you about how you grew the brand Aura to what it is now. And obviously a lot of that would have been through social media. But before we get into all of that, for anyone who is listening to this now, give them like a little bit of a brief on who you are, little intro, just so they can get to know you. And just in case they're crazy and they're not following you already, give them a little blurb.
Okay, so I'm Charlotte. A lot of people will know me as Robertson because that's where my career kind of started. Now Halstead, and soon to be Murphin, actually.
Yeah.
I'm just changing my name.
It's been a journey.
No one knows who I am. And I started pole, I'm going to say about 15 years ago now. It must be similar to you, right? Maybe a little bit behind, so about 15 years. And I have a studio in Wiltshire in the UK. I started pole, started competing, and then was lucky enough to be traveling, teaching workshops. And I have two little boys. And then I started Aura. I started actually the brand Live Love Bend probably around 10 years ago.
Do you know what? Somewhere in this house, I've got a resistance band with Live Love Bend on it.
Somewhere. So yeah, it was Live Love Bend originally. I took a bit of a pause on that due to life situations, and then rebranded and came back as Aura in 2020, August 2020. So it'll be 4 years this August that
Wow,
we
it does not feel
relaunched.
like 4 years. That's crazy.
Yeah,
So
I
wait,
know.
that was pre-COVID.
It was during
Right.
well, kind of like in that, because COVID was March, wasn't it? And then
Right. Okay.
yeah, in August we actually launched the brand Aura, which is Arlo backwards. Yeah, that's what I've been kind of doing since that point. So
Well, let's go back then, because I think for many people who have followed you, it's a very inspirational journey, because what you've done is something that I'm sure so many people all aspire to do, but it's not possible for everyone, because obviously, you know, this is unique to you. But you started obviously as a pole dancing student, you then got
yeah.
really good, you started competing, and then obviously you started to build a name for yourself. What was your goal at that point? Because I assume building Aura as a brand, of course, was not in your head. I'm going to just assume. But where were you at in terms of like what you wanted to do with your career there? Do you remember what you were thinking back then?
Yeah, I think originally when I discovered pole and then realised that I just absolutely loved it, and you know, I really just wanted to train and be the best that I could be. That was the goal, basically. I think as well back then, obviously competing was largely, successfully competing was largely associated with traveling and teaching workshops worldwide. So I think once I kind of got to that point, not straight away, because straight away it was definitely just, I really enjoyed it and I wanted to train and learn. And then when I started competing and the opportunities for teaching and going to other studios and then traveling, that was kind of what I wanted to do. I just imagined that I'd be this like traveling pole dancer. And then I guess, life changes, and I decided to have a baby, or wanted to have a baby. And then after Arlo, I think I realised that although I still really enjoyed that side of it, it just wasn't as possible with a family.
With a family, yeah,
It's just
with a
not.
baby.
And that's fine. Like, I didn't feel sad about it or anything. I could do it. And when I just had Arlo and I didn't have the two boys, I could still kind of manage it. Not to the extent I was pre baby, but I was still managing it, and that was still massively part of my life, and that is what I wanted to do. So Live Love Bend was more of like a merchandise kind of brand, if you like, at the time. And then I think when I had Arlo, you do obviously try and look at ways, especially when you're self-employed, but just for like passive income, something you can be doing alongside it. And Live Love Bend became that an online flexibility program, which people could pay for. Back then, Zoom wasn't even the thing, so people could pay for the program. I did a live on Facebook in a little group every week with them, a little class. So that's kind of what Live Love Bend was. It was like a merch brand, but it had the flexibility online training side of it. And then so that's kind of like where it all began. And so building a brand was never the original kind of plan. Even as a individual, I don't think in our industry and many industries back then, you didn't really look at the personal brand side of it. You just did what you enjoyed doing,
right?
And tried to make money of it.
The Live Love Bend, was there a purpose when you? So the only reason I ask this is because when me and Mitch when I started Polos, I only started doing Polos merch because we were getting married and we were just wanted to make some extra money to be able to pay for our wedding. Was there anything you were doing at the time where you were like, oh, I want to save some money, so let's maybe do some merchandise through Live Love Bend? Or was it just a natural progression for you? There was no reason you did it. You just wanted to.
The merchandise side of it was just on the side. It was just like on the side, no particular reason. The online program was because I was going to have a baby, and I wanted something that I could do whilst on maternity leave. When you're self-employed, mat pay is pretty terrible. So that was definitely like a more thought out plan. Wanted to try and do something online, a bit more passive. It was all automated, the plan was all automated. So it was really, really successful. And the only reason that I stopped it, because like I say, nothing was really around like that now. Like now you can get everything online. Like it's so easy. But the main reason I obviously stopped it was when Luke died, and then I had some people covering it for a while, and then it just didn't have space. I didn't have space for it. So it kind of fizzled, if you like. It wasn't something I wanted to put my energy into at the time.
Just for anyone who's listening to this, Luke is Charlotte's ex-partner, and if you want to learn more about that, please go and check out our previous episode. We won't go into it in detail now because we've talked about it. But yeah, so just in case anyone's like, who's Luke? But so that is Arlo's dad. But you can hear all about that on the previous podcast, and it is on there. So go and check that out if you want any background on that. But yeah, obviously our focus today is social media stuff. But I just wanted, in case anyone was so confused by what that meant. But yeah, sorry, carry on where you were. So we were talking about the Live Love Bend brand, and then how that eventually kind of just went to one side and became what it is now. Do you believe, like, are you much of a manifester? Do you not think that kind of went to one side to make room for Aura?
Absolutely. Yeah. I think I feel with Aura, it's mad as well, because actually going back to like this, not just social media, but just building a brand generally, like there's some things that I would say like are really, really important, which I learned through doing Live Love Bend. And I learned a lot whilst doing the online program and the little bits of merch and things like that. And I learned so much, like even just building a mailing list, like, it's such a nugget. People forget about it. Like so many people are running businesses without a mailing list. So I learned a lot about that when creating Live Love Bend. And then although that stopped and I wasn't doing that, when I started Aura, I felt like I had a really good base of things that I knew that were important. I'm not saying I get it right all the time, because I definitely don't, but I feel like I had that little bit of knowledge, and from mistakes I've made in the past, to be able to start a brand, not just selling, you know, one item just randomly, like going in and selling it. So
Yeah,
I think yes, and I do feel like it's all kind of come full circle in a lot of
absolutely.
ways, which is obviously amazing. So yeah.
So I've also noticed that, you know, anybody really, technically, I guess, could start their own clothing company, right? But obviously,
Absolutely.
yours. Would you agree that a lot of the success of yours is because you had built a name for yourself first?
Yeah, I think yes, I do. I think you know, in that initial moment, being able to use my personal brand to pull across to being like, I'm rebranding, I'm doing this. You know, I don't even know the stat. I can't even remember the stats actually. But let's say I had 40,000 followers on Charlotte at the time. That's like a lot of people to kind of, you know, when you're starting a brand. I
Absolutely.
also had a mailing list, so I had a mailing list of people that I could, who had done the Live Love Band program. You know, maybe had bought the merch, to be like, I'm rebranding. This is now the brand. So again, I had people that I could actually email. And I think then I had 10,000 people on my mailing list. So that was, you know, I don't obviously use that mailing list now. But you know, that I was just like, we're rebranding, this is the direction it's going in. And plus, you know, the people on my Instagram account. So 100%, like, I think that's a really good starting point, you know, and I was very lucky to be able to do that.
And do you think now that, so now you're at a point where, and this must be a really difficult transition. I'm really intrigued to know about like your journey with this. And it is something we've talked about before. So I'm saying that as if I don't know the answer, but it's more because I want you to tell other people about it. It's like, obviously, when you build a brand off of your name, they're coming to it because you've got the product, but it's also you. How do you then transition that company to be its own independent thing? Is that really difficult?
You know the struggles with this. So
I'm asking
I
that as someone who, like, I'm pretending like I don't know the answer. Obviously, I know because we've spoken about it, but I always find this a really interesting conversation with you because, like, when you've said about, like, you know, you want to be able to break into other spaces and, like, oh my God, it's so hard and stuff, you know, when you've got, but at least you had that first little leg up, I guess, through your name. Like, what's the next steps for Aura? Like, how can you take it to that next level?
So I've tried like so many different over the 4 years. Like I said earlier, I've done things wrong. I've done things which I think are right. I mean, there is really no right or wrong, I suppose. But one of the things that you're aware of about is that when I launched Aura, I really tried straight from the get go to use other people to model the clothes, because I didn't want it just to be all about me. So I didn't want people to be on my poll page and basically see a carbon copy on the Ulva page. I really wanted it to be, you know, for loads of reasons as well. But one of the main things was like, I didn't really want to be the face of the brand. Um, After speaking to a lot of people, you know, a lot of people are like, definitely use yourself. Like, why are you not using yourself? This is
Yeah.
mad. So I think I definitely missed a trick there initially. I'm not saying that I should have been plastered all over the Ulva page, but I think me being on there is really important. And although you know, if you think really long term, yeah, maybe Aura, you know, and hopefully Aura will be its own entity, and I think it already kind of is. But I think it's also really important that, you know, my energy, because my passion, because I am the most passionate person about it, because it's mine. It's really good for that to be on that page as well. So
I'm
now it's kind of like
I'm
balancing both.
I'm gonna tell you something that is gonna, it's kind of, I don't want it to offend you, but I also want you to be flattered by it in a way because it's kind of meaning that it means that you're almost achieving what you want. Because I was at Mountain Bowl Camp just recently and someone was wearing
Yeah,
Aura. I was like, oh, I'm friends with Charlotte, and they were like, is that who owns the company? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, that's who Aura is. But she just bought it because her friend also had it, so
yeah.
she was quite news poll.
So
She
the
didn't know.
same thing
She didn't really
actually.
know who I was. Probably she was just like there, but I was there. Like, you know, it's just that whole thing of like. I remember thinking like, oh, like that's really cool. Like, like
Yeah,
Charlotte's one of my friends, and she didn't associate you with the brand, which is actually a good thing because obviously
definitely.
now you know that people aren't just buying because it's you; they're buying it because it's good quality product, which it is. I mean, there was one workshop I was at a while ago. I don't know. her name's Christy. She was wearing fucking head to toe. I was like, fucking hell, babe. She's like, have you got the underwear on as well? She's like, no, actually. She's like, the underwear isn't all right. But she had the bodysuit on. She had then the, like, you know, the one that kind of goes over. It's not like the jumpsuit. It's more like a loose fit one.
Oh, yeah.
Like she had that on top of it because it was quite cold at the time. It was still winter when I went there. But I remember just thinking, I was like, all right, babes, you're like a fucking walking old advert. But like, it's good quality stuff. I mean, how do you then now sort of like progress the brand in terms of like pushing it to the next level? What do you want to move past bodysuits, or are you going to stick with the bodysuit thing and try and really keep hitting home on that and just try to offer different styles? Or are you going to move towards more like general yoga fitness wear? Do you want to go more towards lounge wear, or have you thought about anything like that?
Yeah, so there's a few things. I think our sole focus will always be on jumpsuits. It's something that we get so right, and the quality is so good, and the designs are like, you know, I just think
lovely.
We did a shoot this morning. We did a really quick shoot this morning, and just everyone's looking amazing. And, you know, I think
the marble one, by the way, the white marble. Oh my God.
It's gorgeous.
I remember when you showed me the sample, I think you had of it. You had like a photo of it. It was very early stages. And I couldn't really see it, but I've seen people like the videos of it, people wearing it. Oh my God, it's stunning, isn't it?
Yeah, it looks so good. But so I think that will always be something, you know, that's where we started. It was always where I intended to kind of like focus our energy. And we've kind of, a couple of years ago, we had an opportunity to be stocked in a big gym, which had lots of chains in the UK. It seemed like a really, really good opportunity at the time, but it kind of made us go down a bit of a rabbit hole by offering more of a, I don't want to say basic because that's not really fair, but do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, more generic stuff.
Your generic stuff. And we did that. And actually, there's some things, like nothing is ever like a massive error because you always learn from it and you always take something from it. And some of those pieces will continue to be forever pieces in Aura because, again, they're just great, brilliant, basic pieces.
Yeah.
But it definitely took us down a bit of a rabbit hole. It took us away from the jumpsuits because you're not, you know, although people who go to the gym do wear jumpsuits, it's not the main items they're going to be wearing. And I felt really sad for a while because I felt like the thing that I love about it is being able to be creative, and it really kind of, you know, there's things you need to fulfill in your life. I think that's, for me, Aura really allows me to do that. And so it made me a bit sad for a while. And as soon as I realised why I was feeling a bit like I've kind of gone away from the core of what it was supposed to be. Mm-hmm. So about 2 years ago, I was like, right, that's it. I'm drawing a line. And we're going to go back down the jumpsuit route. And like, it was almost that decision to say, do you know what? I'm not that worried about the wholesale side of it. I'd much prefer to carry on doing what I really enjoy. Mm-hmm. And then from there, we've just carried on. So we will always stick to jumpsuits. That will always be our core. However, as the brand grows, hopefully, and you know, cash is a little bit more available, I would love, obviously, to be able to tick multiple boxes in terms of having, you know, those really core basics with the quality that we use, but also maybe be able to go kind of like maybe down a different route too. So that's kind of where we're at with that.
So let's talk about socials now. So obviously your social media, we're going to go on to yours first before we talk about how you work your brand social media and stuff, because you would have learned so much, I guess, from just doing your own social media that you could then translate over. At what point, like, because how many followers do you have now?
91,
nice. So close to that 100 mark, right? and trust me, babe, when you get there, it doesn't fucking move. It's a nightmare. But so you're at 91,000 followers. It's a lot of followers. I mean, you know, that is a lot of people. What did it take to get to that point? Was there a time, like, even with, like, when you said when you were on 40,000, whatever, did you have anything that kind of like blew it up, or has it always been quite natural, steady growth? Have you ever had any viral videos that like sent you up or anything?
So I don't think I've ever really gone viral, no. I would say, for me, in comparison to like other people starting on Instagram now, like, I just want to lay this out there that I went onto Instagram when it was almost first first a thing, if you know what I mean.
Right.
Posting random poll pictures with really fuzzy, awful lighting.
15-second videos.
With normally on the iPad, because you couldn't do that on your phone back then. Lent against a water bottle on the floor in the studio. And it was just somewhere you posted photos, wasn't it? That was even before videos. So if you think about it, for me, because I don't want to be like, you know, I'm at 91,000 followers and it happened like by doing X, Y, and Z, because I've been doing it for about 15 years. So that's a long time to get to that point. If you look at other people who have over 100,000 followers, who've maybe doing it for 5 years. So there's so much that we've learned, and it's grown so much, and it's become. So I think for me, initially, it was obviously just posting on there. It was really helpful back then to be kind of getting your name out, wasn't it? Like initially, not many people were doing it so much. And I would say that I grew it probably to about 40, I can't remember, I'm going to say 46,000. And then I know we briefly touched on this earlier, not to go into it, but it is just such a relevant point in my life. When everything happened, I did obviously take a pause. It wasn't something I was doing, something I was posting on. And I do think that's when everyone else kind of like ramped up. So I kind of just stayed and sat where I'd been for a while. It was about 2 years ago that I then started consistently really like posting with intention, because I think things have changed, obviously, and are changing all the time. So no, I don't think there's any viral videos, but I do think the key things for social media are being consistent. And that's okay if that's once a week or twice a week or once a day, but just showing up consistently will help as well. And I think also like being engaging, being authentic, you know, I think, yes, that's great if you get a viral video and it flies around and you get loads of followers from it, but it also depends on the intention of that. Like what are you doing it for? If you're just doing it for followers, that's fine. That is absolutely fine, because there will be people that just do it because they want a big following, and that's cool. But I think sometimes knowing your intention with it, if you've got a product to sell or you've got a service to sell, then there's a different intention behind it. It doesn't matter if you've got 20,000 followers or 200,000 followers. It's the intention of why you're posting what you're posting.
Also, as well, it's worth saying, like, you know, if you've got 20,000, like if you're selling, let's say, for example, you're a person who wants to at some point teach online, for example, and you've got 20,000 people who are all pole dancers interested in your content, they are so much more valuable to you than 200,000 random people who just followed you because you had a random video go viral. Like, this is the thing, like, it's not gonna, I'd rather have a slow, steady growth of 20,000 followers or even 10,000 followers.
Absolutely.
Like, you know, and have them be people who are here for my content, people who didn't just follow me because of a random viral video. So it's so funny how many people chase after the 100K or whatever. And it's fine. Like, don't get me wrong, I get it too, because I did the same. But like, mine were all pole dancers. That's the only thing, is that I've never had anything go viral outside of the pole community. It's only ever been shared by pole dancers. So don't get me wrong, I'm sure I've got lots of non-polers following me too, but nowhere near as many as a lot of others have. So, and that's really helped me to make money.
Yeah, and exactly. And I think like it's like say, just know who you are, who you're trying to talk to. If you're trying to sell something, what are you trying to sell? Does your content relate to what you're trying to sell? You know, I'm actually trying something slightly different at the moment, because I feel like I want to use my personal Instagram as a bit more of a personal brand side of things. I think up until this point, I've just posted pole. I think you're doing the same at the moment, actually, because I've seen a lot of your funny videos. But like you just, not you, but me, just posting like pole, which is obviously my audience, and that's what I do, and it's genuine, like it's genuine training videos and stuff. But I want to be able to get a bit more of me across to people, because it's a really good way to communicate with those people. And if you can build a personal brand, you can then transfer that across to your brand or whatever it is you're trying to sell. So for you, Pole Destroyers, or whatever it is. But I think a lot of people get a bit confused about their actual intentions of it. And it's not a bad thing. Like I say, I think it's much better for someone to say, I'm posting because I want to hit 100,000 followers. Well, good for you. At least that's a goal. Like, that's a
Right.
goal. So you just keep doing what you're doing, and
Yeah.
that's fine. But I think if people don't realize what their intention is, if they're like, oh, I'm not really bothered about followers, but I'm investing all of this time to post every single day, I think that's just a bit of a shame. Like, what a waste.
I think
Like,
as well,
there's so much you can do with it.
if you are the type of person that did answer like Charlotte just said, and your only goal is to gain followers, I'd want you to really deep dive and think, but why do I want that? Do I have a goal? Am I looking to start teaching workshops? Am I looking to start selling an online course? Am I looking to start my own brand? Obviously, in that case, it's worthwhile. But if you just want 100,000 followers for the sake of having 100,000 followers, I think like it might be worth doing some soul searching there, just to be like, why? Like, because, you know, don't get me wrong, like, we all want that attention, right? It's what we crave as humans. But for me, my main focus is my businesses, right? Because this is where I'm trying to sell an experience online. And obviously I'm gonna give you like content, of course, but oh hey, so sorry to interrupt your podcast. I just wanted to pop in really quickly to tell you about one of our sponsors, and today's podcast is sponsored by Ra Designs. Ra Designs is an activewear brand that create activewear for pole dancers and people doing alternative fitness, aka aerial silks, aerial hoops, straps, you name it, they've got something for you. They've got a women's range, they've got a men's range. Woo! I love men's pole wear because it's so hard to find. And they've also got a whole range for women with curves. Can we talk about women with boobs? It's hard to keep these babies in, I hear, right? Well, Ra have got you covered. They have got a curvy girl range, which is going to keep you feeling supported and looking amazing. So please go and check out our sponsor for today. Thank you so much to Ra. We are so happy to have you on this podcast. Go and check out Ra Designs. This is why people are so invested into like the Kardashians, for example, like, and they follow them and they just worship them, and they spend their money on their products because they've watched them on TV and they feel like they know them. So because they feel like they're part of the Kardashian family almost, that's why they're so invested in these people. Whereas if they were just influencers, I don't know whether it would be the same. I feel like because they were on TV and because people really got to see into their lives, they felt like they had more of a connection with them. And that's what I'm now trying to do. In a way, I'm trying to show people like, that I want to make people laugh because I like making people laugh, but like making people happy. And I want people to see a little bit more of me rather than just me on the pole.
Yeah.
Because I'm more than a pole dancer, you know?
Yeah.
I think that's like super important in terms of like branding and like having people enjoy your social media. So what have you started doing? Be real specific now for us, because I feel like it's so important for this series. Like, so have you changed the way you edit, or have you changed like even like, are you speaking more? What are you doing different?
So I think it's just going back to your point, sorry, because I don't want to forget to say this, but there's something that I used for Live Love Bend, and I learned for Live Love Bend back, like say 10 years ago when I did that, was to do with selling. Because let's not go away from the fact that ultimately what we're talking about here in terms of social media and brand awareness is ultimately we're trying to sell something.
Right.
Because it's our job.
Yeah.
So we are salespeople. And one of the things that I've always tried to follow is this know, like, and trust. And you just touched on it anyway. But if people think they like, or people feel like they get to know you by what you're posting, and they like you, not everybody's going to like you, that's fine as well. But let's say that a few of them do like you, which is great. And then they learn to trust you because you're showing up, you're replying to them, you're engaging with them. If you can kind of tick all those boxes, you are more likely to get that person as a customer.
For sure.
So that's kind of like where it's come from. And I think for me, the balance between my own personal profile and then Aura is obviously I am trying to split myself between these two profiles, which I actually find quite difficult because I feel like, you know, it's like anything in life, you feel like you're filling one of those buckets and then the other one's being a bit neglected, and then
are you doing it all yourself?
I do it all myself. Yeah.
You don't have any assistants helping you with socials? Wow.
Nobody.
Okay, we're going to talk about that in a minute as well.
Everything posted on both those platforms is me. So yeah, you were asking about the content. So, and just back to what Becky said, and she taught me this as well, some things are going to hit, some things are going to just be a flop, and you don't always know. You could follow all of the things that you know about social media that you've learned, and you could post something and think, oh yeah, this is going to be a really good one, and then nobody, you know, likes it or whatever. And that could be for so many reasons that, you know, let's be honest, like you could blame it on the algorithm, but most of the time it's because people don't like it.
Right. This is the thing, like,
So-
you can blame it on the algorithm, you can blame it on the shadow ban, but we were just talking about this as well. Becky was a bit like, I want to be really careful how I say this, because, you know, the truth is that if your content is trash, it's not going to do well. Like, that's the truth. You could literally be in shadow ban land, like, so blocked, like, but if your content hits well enough, it will do really well with your own followers.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but no one's stopping your own followers seeing your stuff. That's the thing. It's only
Yeah.
stopping new people seeing you. So if your stuff isn't hitting, even with your own followers, you gotta be honest with yourself and be like, could I have done something different with my
Yeah,
content? Is this what
definitely.
people want to see? And that's okay.
Well,
There's
that's
nothing
the
wrong
other
with that.
thing. And that's the other thing I was going to say. So I have tried posting a few different things recently. They obviously don't hit as well as the content that
Can you
I
give us
know that my
examples?
followers want.
What sort of styles?
Oh, like if I share like my cold water therapy
Okay.
journey, you know, it's going to be, it might do okay, but like it's not going to be what my followers are used to seeing. So they also might be not used to seeing it. So then again, not as engaged with that piece of content. So, but I don't want to say I don't care, as in like I don't care about what I'm doing, because obviously I'm very passionate about what I'm doing. But I don't mind if a video doesn't hit that well.
Right.
That's fine. Like it's not. I don't have a lot of emotional attachment to like what I'm posting. If you like, obviously, if I posted a pole trick video and it landed really badly, I'd probably be a bit more sad about that, because that's my passion. That's something I've worked really hard on.
Yeah.
But something that's like I say, me getting in my ice bath, that's fine. Like it's absolutely fine.
It's
It doesn't.
personal
I'm not
choice, isn't
offended.
it? Yeah, some
Um,
people are gonna like it and some people aren't.
Yeah, and it's also for me just like figuring out a way of sharing myself without kind of like, I think it's like having those boundaries as well. Do you know what I mean? So it's like sharing that. I don't mind doing like face to camera stuff, but it's not something that comes as easily to me. And I think that's a bit more of a time thing. There's not often times I have where I can sit and talk to my camera. Like, you know, the mornings are manic, the evenings are manic, like there's lots of things going on. But it's something I know that I'm like aware I should do a bit more of.
So one thing I've noticed, I don't know if you've noticed this, but like, because I follow obviously a lot of people, right? And I've noticed that a lot of people that do this speaking to the camera, I mean, they'll just do it when they're walking around, but I just can't do it. I get too embarrassed because I know that people are looking at me. Like literally, I was trying to record some content in the gym the other day, and you know, you're like, I know people are watching me. Like, what the fuck is he doing? Like, and I was being stupid as well, so obviously it made it even worse. If I was just talking, I maybe wouldn't have been as embarrassed. But like, I remember I had to retake it a few times. I remember just thinking like, oh God, I really hope that no one's like staring at me like, what the fuck is he doing? But you know, sometimes you just got to get rid of the embarrassment and just be like, you know what, it is what it is. Like, and it comes out so cool when like you never think about it. It's like I follow this guy. He owns properties and stuff, and he's like a property investor and stuff. And I follow this guy because I find him really interesting. And he'll just be fucking walking down the street, loads of people around, and be like, "Oh yeah, when you're investing in property, blah blah blah." I'm just like, what a confidence to just do that. He doesn't give a shit. He literally is just walking around and recording himself. And I never ever used to think like, wow, he's doing that in public. Like there's people behind. I never used to notice because I just was focused on what he was saying. So actually people don't really think like, oh God, how cringe they're doing it in public. People don't care. They just don't just go for it. I feel like that's the thing that I'm doing now. Very much like Becky said, like you said, I'm just experimenting with new things. I'm doing some serious stuff, some unserious stuff. It is what it is. I'm just seeing what hits.
Yeah. And I think what I feel really grateful for is that my personal profile is literally just a place to experiment.
Right.
Because I'm not, for example, like if I post a home workout, then it doesn't matter to me. That's not my usual content. That's not really what people are following me for. But I can post that and I don't mind if that lands or doesn't land. Also, I'm not trying to sell home workouts. Right. But what I am doing is wearing Aura in my home workout. But
Right.
I can just play around with it. Like I can just
Yeah.
have fun. And I think that's what's quite nice. And also something that's quite nice for Ulra is that Ulra can learn from my mistakes
Absolutely.
or the things that do work. So I am just using that. And you've probably listened to this as well, but Stephen Bartlett talks a lot about make the mistakes because you'll learn 10 times more from them than if you procrastinate about what the right thing to do is. So,
Absolutely.
you know,
There's just so many and that applies to so much in life, doesn't it? Like you got
mm,
to make, and that's the thing as well. Like if you were listening to what Charlotte just said and you thought, oh well, maybe I need to create another profile so I can make mistakes on those pages. It doesn't matter. Like you can make a mistake on your own page and you can always just delete it, babe. Just delete
yeah,
it. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, if you're listening to this and you're like, oh, I don't want to make mistakes. If you really are that embarrassed about a mistake, just delete it. Just be like, well, that
yeah,
didn't hit. I'm going to delete it. And do you know what? No one would even know. Like, there
no,
are so many pages that actually I go onto, and I don't know how you feel about this. I don't know if you've ever thought about doing this as well. I've noticed there are a lot of people doing this thing at the moment where they'll post, and then a few days later they just delete. And so they, on their actual page, you scroll maybe 2 or 3 times, and there's actually not much content on there. And the person I'm thinking of, I don't know if you follow her, Ali Bazzi, her name is on Instagram. Her name's Isabella, but it's just Isabella backwards. And she's like hardstyle exotic, and I've noticed she's got hardly any videos, but I feel like I see videos from her all the time, and she just clears them out. And I was just like, huh, that's an interesting way of posting. Do you have any idea why people do that? Is there a reason?
I have no idea.
Neither do I. And I was like, I wonder if it's because maybe she doesn't want people copying the choreos, so she wants it to expose her a little bit and get her more followers or get her more engagement, and then she's just deleting it so people can't save it. Maybe I don't know. I remember just thinking like, huh, that's really interesting. I wonder if
Yeah.
anyone knows. Well, listen, if you're listening to this now and you know why she's done that,
You
there might have been
know.
a reason. Please let me know. I mean, maybe she got a warning on the content and it was like, you're going to be shadow banned because of this, so she's just had to delete it, which a lot of people are dealing with at the moment. So maybe it was that. But yeah, anyway, sorry. Totally went off track there. But yeah, I think it really is, you just got to make those mistakes. You've got to try experimenting with different stuff. I mean, what's your schedule in terms of like, I do, because like, for example, we're going to talk, because I just was talking to her. Becky was saying that she posts in the morning, she posts in the evening. She, has like a very set schedule. What's your schedule?
Yeah, so I post on both profiles between 6:30 and 7 a.m. Every day. And
Right,
I'm
okay.
not before we go off on this and people are like, oh my god, you get up at 6:30 to post on social media. That's not the case at all. I get up at 6:30 because that's when my alarm goes off. I like
Right.
to wake up at we talked about this, but I like to wake up at the same time every day. My kids are almost always up by that point anyway, so I'll always be up between 6 and 6:30 anyway. And it's the time when we come down. The little one is the early riser, so he'll like sit and have his milk, and I'll do that while he's
Right.
having his like 20 minutes of waking up. I'll do my posts on the socials, and then it's done for me for the day. If I happen to have another piece of content which I'm really eager to share, then I'll also maybe post that again. Like it will be evening, but I post once a day on both profiles because that's all I really have time for.
Honestly, when Becky told me she does twice, I was like, because I've done it before, like I've done it on the odd occasion, and every now and then, if I've got loads of stuff I need to share, and I just happen to have another thing I want to post, sure, I'll post it twice in a day, it's no problem. But generally once, and
Yeah,
normally I have one day a week. It's normally always a Thursday where I forget and I just don't have the time because normally on a Thursday I'm super busy. So, and that'll be my day off. Like, it is what it
yeah,
is. Like, don't worry, I
yeah.
try to post every day, but it doesn't always happen. And actually, I just wrote it down because I didn't want to forget about it. You post between 6:30 and 7:30 a.m. ish. Do you notice a difference between posting early and evening? Because I was chatting to Becky about this, and Becky was saying that for her, she finds the best time is like between 8 and 9 p.m. Did you experiment with any other times?
In all honesty, I haven't because between 8 and 9, I'm either teaching or the kids are in bed and that is my time. So I haven't really experimented so much with it. However, what I would say from like what I've obviously, there was just so much information out there. I think we all feel it, right? Like there's people telling you that you should post twice a day or 3 times a day, people telling you that these are the optimal times, etc., etc., etc. I think again back to that consistent thing. I think if you're it's better to do it. And again, I have to one thing I also want to say, because there will be some people listening to this thinking, oh my God, this is just not for me. Like, I don't want to do that every day, or I don't. One thing I would say is never a chore for me. I don't
Right.
social media a chore. Like, I enjoy posting. I enjoy
Same.
creating the content. Like, it's something I really enjoy doing. So in fact, I wish I had more time to create stuff, because I find it really fun. So that's one thing I would say as well, because I think some people get really overwhelmed with it. I've got a couple of friends who are like, oh, I couldn't do that. Like, it takes me an hour to put a post together. And I'm like, that's fine. Like, that's, no one's making anyone do anything. Like,
Right.
so making sure, because if people do want to go down that route and they want to be content creators, which is essentially what we're doing, we're being content creators. It's not even being an influencer, really. We are just creating content. I think you have to enjoy doing it, because it is
Right.
quite consuming. But yeah, back to the experiment thing, no, but I do try and post consistently at that time in the day, because it's just, like I say, it's the time that I actually have a decent amount of time to do it.
Yeah. I think
And
the
yeah,
whole theory around it, because everyone always tends to tell me evenings is their time they like to post. And I think the theory around it is that people are on their phones at that time of night because
yeah,
it's just before bed or whatever. But you could also say, I mean, what's the first thing that most people do when they wake up in the morning? And what time do they wake up? Probably after 6:30, 7 a.m. And the first thing they're going to see is your content. And how many people are actually posting at that time? Do you know, it's something actually I need to experiment with. I might need, because I mean, I wake up early as well. I wake up at 6. So, before I go to the gym, I can maybe just start posting in the mornings and just see what the difference is. And
yeah,
maybe do a week of posting in the evening, a week of posting in the morning, and then just compare the difference, because
yeah.
I'd be really intrigued to know if there is much of a difference. But honestly,
It's going to be hard to actually evaluate that, though, because also you could do a really good piece of content at 8 o'clock on
right.
Wednesday the week before, and then do a really shit piece of content.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
But
no,
but no,
I'm
but
just
it's
saying.
absolutely true. It's one of those things, and I was saying to Becky as well. Like, I've had content before where I've posted it, it's not done very well, and then I've left it a few weeks. I've reposted it again, and it's done so much better. And it's
Yeah,
just like, but what was different? The content was the
yeah,
same. It's just sometimes it's a case of catching the algorithm at the right time.
yeah.
So
Some things are slow burners. Like, I feel like some of my social media personal page right now is a bit more of like a slow burner. It's not getting the sudden, like, when you go on and you think, oh my God, I only posted that 20 minutes ago and it's gone crazy. I don't feel like any piece is doing that, but over a period of time, they're doing just as well.
yeah.
It's kind of like, so, like I say, to me, I don't worry too much about that side of it. It's got to work for me as well.
Do
Um,
you, with your content, do you ever think about? So, one thing that I'm very conscious of, and it's not something I've not mentioned on the podcast yet, but I'm always conscious of, especially if it's spoken word content or I'm doing a voiceover or something like that, I try to get to the point within 15 seconds. And the only reason is because I need it to hook them in 15 seconds, because if they're going to put it onto stories and share my content, it kind of needs to be like, when you share like a meme or something, because obviously a lot of my content, the speaking ones, they tend to be funny style. So I need the joke to hit within that 15 seconds, because if they
mm,
share it on their story and the punchline is at the end, no one's going to hear the punchline anyway. So they'll be like, what the fuck
no.
is he talking about? So I'm really conscious of the 15-second thing. Do you have any rules like that with your content when you're making it?
Oh, not, I mean, not particularly. Obviously, like, there's certain things that do better than others. I think the cover photo is like a really big part of it. And I don't even mean it necessarily needs to be text
Oh,
cover photo,
yes.
but just even the whatever it is that people see first. Like, we have such short attention spans. And
True.
so it's not even, I think the overlaying of text was like, has kind of been not gone, it's not gone, but it's definitely been something that everybody is now doing. So we're almost becoming a little bit used to that now.
Mm.
So it's not quite as captivating as it was. So again, I just think that generally the cover photo is probably the thing
And
that
one thing we discussed, and I remember saying to you, did you notice a difference in this? And I'd really like to, again, just go into real in detail with this. So your page, when you look at your page, the cover photo is a separate photo to anything from your video, isn't it? So it's a photo you upload, is that correct?
so you can do that.
Oh, you
Um,
don't do that.
No, I don't actually do that.
Oh, do you put it at the front of your video or at the end or something? Or
Yeah. So if the video needs a cover photo, like if the beginning of the video, I mean, sometimes I don't do this though, but yeah, if I really had the time, then yes. If the trick, I didn't want the text there the whole way through the video to get to the actual shape, then yeah, maybe I would do a screenshot of the picture and then create a cover photo. But generally for me, no, I just use Instagram to edit it. I do it all via in-app.
so you and again, just because I think people probably are listening to this and they'll be like, what the hell are they talking about? So on Charlotte's page, you'll be able to go to her page and you'll be able to see that some of the videos, as you look on the like thumbnail of the grid, it will say like quick flippy combo and it will say
Yeah,
like pole flow, pole routine. And that image that we can see with the writing on it, you're saying that's actually part of your video. Is it,
yeah.
and is it literally just a screenshot of the beginning of it with the writing on it, or is it somewhere in the middle? Because surely it's not in the middle, because otherwise text would come up in the middle of your video, wouldn't
Yeah,
it?
it depends. So if I just yesterday I posted that Texas choreo, the picture me and Kirsty took as a photo, and then
Right.
I added that to the reel. So it's not even a cover photo. I literally added it into the reel. So the first second is that picture, and then I wrote the
Ah.
text on it, and then it goes into the video.
And then when you're choosing your thumbnail, you just scroll right to the beginning and you use
Yeah,
that. I see. Yeah,
yeah,
because
that's
there
how I do
is,
it.
well, because there is the option for people who are wondering how else you can do it, where you can actually upload a picture. So you can
Yes,
go onto Canva, a really great
yeah,
tool that I use. Canva is amazing. And you can take a screenshot of maybe somewhere in your video where it's a shape that you really, really like, and you can add some text to it. You can make it look a little bit pretty. It's something I've considered, if I'm being honest, because I thought it might make my page look a little bit more aesthetically pleasing. But you know what? It's finding the time. It's
I was
finding the
just about to
time for
say.
this shit. I just don't have time.
No, but this is what I was just about to say. So you're asking me, that's on my personal page, but on Aura, I have used Canva quite a lot for Aura because Aura to me, like I say, like my personal page, like I just want to be me on my personal page and I just want to post the things that I want to post. And if I want to post a video of me getting ready that nobody cares about, then that's fine because
Yeah.
it's just whatever I feel. Whereas with Aura, I'm a lot more emotionally attached to Aura. I really want Aura to do well. I want it to look good. I want people to land on Aura's Instagram and see what we're trying to do there. So I do
Yeah.
use quite a lot for Aura, and especially if we're running like sales or something, I'll use Canva for that because I want good. I
Yeah.
want it to look good.
Of course. So, in terms of the difference between your Insta and Aura, what do you do differently on Aura for the social media for Aura?
So Aura generally gets 2 posts a day.
Wow. Oh my God. You're
It,
doing, so you're
but
doing 3 posts a
not
day.
me.
Uh,
So it will get 1 post which I'll do in the mornings, and I will try and do a product photo. Now there's like controversy between this in that some people say Instagram is not somewhere to place a photograph of your products because it doesn't sell them. Like, why are you wasting your time? I actually need that on there, I think, because I want people to know exactly what we are when they come onto our page. They might
right.
not even, you know, stop on those photos, but at least it initially is like they can see the jumpsuits, they can see the product.
But could you not
Because
do that through your thumbnails? So when, do you know what I mean? So like, could you not have like the thumbnail as like the main like product picture, and then when they click on it, it goes into like a cool video of the product, or
yeah, definitely. But I think like especially if you've got something new coming as well. I want the website photos basically on Instagram so people can see the product. And then alongside that, I have my amazing team of ambassadors who collab with me. So we have 3 collabs a week.
Mhm.
So 3 of the 7 days we have 3 of the 7 days. Yeah, 3 of the 7 days we have collabs with the ambassadors, which will obviously be like awesome content from them. So ticking all those boxes we've kind of talked about. And then in amongst that, I'll try and then post something additionally to that, whether it's me reposting someone or we do an obsessed with Olga feature now where anyone who takes selfies and stuff, they get featured in that on a Monday. So that will be like my second post, if you like.
Nice.
Or a video or behind the scenes or whatever it might be. So Olga gets a bit more attention.
So Tell me, so this is actually something I haven't even spoken about the power of collaboration posts. For anyone again who doesn't know, who is learning a lot about social media through this podcast, collaboration post is not where you tag someone; it's where you actually add them as a collaborator. And when you go to tag them, it'll offer you both options. And if you add them as a collaborator, it means the video will show up on your post, so your page and their page. So is that what you get your influencers to do?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
do you find that it does increase the engagement? Because obviously these influencers that you're using, they've got pretty decent followings, right? So like, do you find that helps the page's engagement?
Yeah, I think it definitely must. Like,
Yeah.
you know, if Becky's collabing with me, she's got 100,000 followers, always got 20. Like,
Right.
you know, she's got 5 times the amount of followers that we have, so it's going to reach a bigger audience, which is amazing. I think so definitely that. I think it really allows us as well. We work with the team is incredible, and we have so many different talents in that team of ambassadors that it means also, like I said, 3 times a week we're getting like completely different content. So there's an amazing girl called Chantel who's in America, and she collabed with us last week. You might have seen it. She's just like jumping into a handstand, doing all these crazy legs in our new jumpsuit, and it's like
Nice.
completely different from the content that, you know, Kate would post.
Right, of
So
course.
it's so nice, like, that we've got that diversity within the content, and you know, it's a game changer for us having that team. I have an amazing relationship with those girls, and I think that really adds the value. You know,
I was gonna say, in terms of how many influencers are there?
so there's 10 now.
Nice.
We are just going into we've just got our fulfillment center in the Netherlands, so we're going to be shipping to all European countries, lower shipping, no customs taxes.
Nice.
So we're just building on our EU kind of ambassador team. We've got Dinika and Jin, who I think's done some classes for you as well.
Yeah.
So and we're just kind of like building that gradually as well. But again, just like the difference between everybody's content is just brilliant. And yeah,
And in
it works
terms of
really well.
choosing, and we're going to talk about this because this is something that many people who are listening to this will be like, I'd love to be, you know, one of these people that is an influencer for brands like Aura, like Hella Heels, all these brands. What are you looking for as a brand when you're looking for an influencer? Is following, how important is following?
So I think there's a few things to say here. I think when I started the Dream Team, which is what we call ourselves,
Nice.
When we started that, I had a few of my own. They're my friends. They're my friends, basically. So like
Not
Phoebe,
friends in high places. It's okay.
but like, you know, like Phoebes, like Becky, Jen, etc. So initially, that question you just asked me, I'd be like, no, I didn't look. I just chose people that I enjoyed working with, who I knew loved Aura, and that was that really. When we officially started this, because I pay them to collab with me, and they get a kickback for any orders placed using their code as well. So
Nice.
they do quite well off the back of just wearing Aura, essentially. So when we decided it like that, obviously I started thinking about more of a criteria, like how do you look for people? And I think, or how do you become an ambassador? I think there's a couple of things for me. I think you have to be wearing the brand and liking the brand above any other brand.
Right.
Like, you have to be invested in some way before you expect someone to go and take you on as an ambassador. I get a lot of messages from people who would like to become an ambassador for Aura, and the first thing that I ask them above following is, that's awesome, what pieces do you own and why do you like them? And about 60% of people come back and say, I haven't bought anything yet, but I love the look of it. And I'm like, but why would you want to be an ambassador then? You don't know. You don't know.
It might fit shit. It might not even fit you.
But it's true. Like, and I think, so that for me, I know that's really a bit honest and I probably sound a bit horrible, but it's true. Like, I wouldn't go and reach out to a brand if I didn't know what that product was.
Right.
Like, if a brand approaches you and says, hey, do you want to become an ambassador?
Yes.
And they say, we'll send you something, see how it fits, see how you like it. If you do like it, let's have a further conversation. that's different. But I think just approaching a brand because you want free stuff, which is essentially, let's be honest, that's what people are doing, isn't going to work. It isn't going to work out. And so, like I say, the first thing I ask people is, what have you bought and why do you like our brand?
Would it work out if they had like a massive follow? So if someone did contact you and they did say that, but you looked on their page and you were like, fuck, they've actually got loads of followers, they're a big name, their engagement's really, really good, would it tempt you?
I think if it had enough reach, engagement as well. So like back to what we originally spoke about with followers, and then that engagement of people actually, you know, wanting to be a part of that person and doing whatever they do. Then perhaps. But again, I'd probably do it on a bit of like a temporary, like, why don't I send you something and then and don't get me wrong, in the early stages, by the way, I must say, I just tried to send stuff to all of the people because I was like, maybe that will help me. Maybe this will help to get the brand out there. And as you know, more than anything, you just want brand awareness. Like that's all you really, really want. And like I say, when we took it seriously, when the Dream Team started, that's when I realised that, you know, there needed to be a bit more structure around it. There needed to be some more boundaries. It needed to be people who genuinely wanted to wear our product as well. But yeah, so I don't know. So maybe with a good engagement, maybe on a trial, like, why don't you take this, see how it goes? But again, I don't know that I would, because I'm backtracking now, but it's because I know that it's really important for people to be like all in,
invested
on both sides. Like I need to be fully invested in them and they need to be fully invested in me.
Of course.
And that's why the Aura team works so well, because I feel like we're really like, they're so grateful for everything that we give them, and I'm so grateful for everything that they do for me. So I think it just works both ways.
It has got to work both ways. And I think, like, you know, with Hella have sent me stuff before. Obviously, I knew Harriet before, but we weren't like busy friends or anything before. Like, she knew of me, I knew of her. But, you know, she sent me like heels before because I bought heels before, you know, and so she knew that I liked the products and stuff. And she's starting these like wide fits now, and she's going to send me some wide fits. And, you know, she's always looking after me. And, you know, I will always tag Hella and stuff, and I do giveaway with Hella and stuff. And I just think what she's doing is amazing. I think you've got to be invested in the brand, haven't you? And I think this is the thing. People will see through it as well, because you've got to remember is that it's all good that you do send it to this person, but their followers probably aren't going to really be invested in it, because they're going to be like, well, you've never worn this before. What do you mean it's amazing? You've literally only just got it. So it just doesn't look so genuine. I mean,
definitely.
So the following doesn't actually mean a lot to you then, as a brand?
No. And actually, do you know what's been really lovely is we've had some people who were like there right in the beginning, who didn't have a big following, who, you know, were just friends, and, you know, but they genuinely love the brand. They're you know, 110% invested, and have grown to like an over 10,000 following, which is amazing, because you're like,
so great.
We've done that together. Like that. I love that, because it was never like, oh, you've not got enough following, so I'm not really interested. Like, you know, going into the EU, you know, has been slightly different, because I've needed to have those boundaries and stuff set out before we've done that, 'cause it's a big, you know, it's a big project for us. But I think, I love sharing that with the girls, and like I say, being able to kind of like bounce off each other with it. But I think, but like you said with Hella, like you've hit the nail on the head. You've already ordered from them. You already were supporting them, even if it's one pair of shoes. It's the point is you're still, and then you're tagging them, and you're already helping in that way. So, and you've got a great following, and now you've got a relationship with us. That just works brilliantly.
Have you ever heard of something called UGC? User. Oh, damn, I literally was just talking about UGC.
Yes.
User generated content. Have you heard of that?
Yeah.
So this is like a form of influencing now that influencers doing, where they're not actually sharing any shit on their page. They're literally just creating content for brands. This is the thing, like these people you're talking about, the people with not very many followers, whilst they may not have met very many followers, they might be able to also provide value in the form of content creation. So this is the thing, I guess, like they do definitely have their advantage. And for anyone listening to this who is maybe at, I don't know, not very many followers, less than, you know, a couple of thousand maybe, and you want to grow, there's no harm necessarily reaching out to some of the brands saying, hey, like I actually bought this product, but are you looking for any like, user generated content? Because I've just created this amazing video. Would you
Yeah,
like to work together? It's
yeah.
not to say they're going to pay thousands or hundreds. They might not. They might just offer you some more free product. But if you love the product, that's a win too,
Yeah,
isn't it?
and it's more genuine. And I think like we can actually now from doing having our ambassadors for in this team, like I say, it's coming up 2 years or whatever. We have stats. We have genuine stats from like their kickback. How many of their followers, sorry, are actually using that code, and how successful is it? And interestingly, some of the time, the people who are most successful in that way are not the people with the biggest following. Like
No.
it, not always, I'm not saying it, of course it helps sometimes, but it's been really, really surprising. The people that do the best are the people who are posting more, what we found is like more on their stories. They might even be like not even talking about Aura, but they're wearing Aura. Like, because that's the
Yeah.
brand that they're an ambassador for. So why wouldn't they be wearing Aura? It's
Uh-huh.
genuine. It's like it comes across so much more authentic.
Do you have a rule with your ambassadors where they're like not allowed to wear other brands or anything, or are you very like wear what you want?
Yeah, we have no exclusivity. It was something that when I created the like the rules, it's
The
not really rules, but
contracts, the contract,
the
or
it's yeah, like the structure of what I expect and what they get basically. But when we did that, there's something that was really important to me. I was like, I don't want them to be exclusive. That's not actually the most important thing. Um, but the hope is obviously that they love it so much that they kind of don't need to wear anything else,
right?
you know? But
Uh-huh.
if they do, it's absolutely fine.
Of
Like I've got
course.
no problem with that. I think as well a lot of this is built off of my experiences previously when I was, representing other brands, and I've worked with other brands through my career. And I think when you're suddenly tied into something and it has to be exclusive, it feels so much more restrictive.
Hmm.
And I just don't think there's any need for it. I think
Right.
it's not something that's. And again, with my girls, like if you go on Kate's page, if you go on Jen's page, if you go on Phoebe's or Becky's, you will generally find them in Aura, like
True.
80% of the time.
Yeah.
So, and that's with no exclusivity. I haven't asked for that.
That's pretty cool. I guess because you've made
Yeah,
them feel more like family, so it's a little bit different, isn't it? So that's quite nice.
yeah, it's lovely, and yeah.
If you were to tell again someone who's listening to this who wants to learn from these podcasts about social media, any like hacks, things that's going to really help them boost their page, boost their social media. The main thing that pretty much everyone has said is consistency. So that one we've got. Have you got any little tricks? Like, is there anything that you changed about yours that you thought, right, that's really working? I'm going to go for it with that.
And we're talking about
Just
brand or
for
personal brand or
either really, for
either.
anything that's just going to build up engagement on any of your content, whether it be brand or your
So
own
yeah, I
page.
think I think I probably already said this, but I do think really nail down on what it is you're trying to do or sell or whatever the end goal is. Like, kind of work backwards from there. You want to make sure that you are being as authentic as possible. So if you're selling a brand, if you're on there as a content creator, let's say, let's take it away from anything else, and you're just on there and a brand's contacted you and said, I want you to wear my stuff, that needs to be authentic. Like it needs to be, like I say, maybe just wear it doing your like making your coffee in the morning. It doesn't have to be like selling as in, always tagging your code and stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, being authentic, really working out what your end goal is, and trying. I've kind of building a community relates a little bit more to Aura. So something I'm really trying to do within Aura is create like the Aura community, because I think that's really, really important. But same with personal brand, I suppose. And that community is kind of like / engagement. So reply to those people's comments, reply to the messages, like, engage with people when they're trying to engage with you. If people are posting underneath your video, I'd love to see it, or underneath your picture, I'd love to see the video entry. Be like, hey, if you asked for the video entry, it's engaging because
Yeah.
you're giving them what they want to
Uh-huh.
see. Um, so I think that would be the main things I'd kind of say there.
And also like little tricks like get people kind of trawling around your page. Like post a picture of a move on your stories and be like, just posted a video entry to this. Go and check it
Yeah.
out. And then people
Yeah.
go, oh, I actually really like that move. Then they're going to go over, they're going to see it, then they're going to save that video.
Yeah.
Ask them questions. Like, you have the like ask a question box you can put on your stories. Like, let people ask you questions, because then it means they're just going
Yeah.
to get to know you a bit more. And this is
So I'm
one thing
actually
that I
really,
try to do.
yeah, I'm really bad at doing stuff like that. You know, the like, ask me anything today because I've got time. I'm always like, I don't have
I
time.
don't have to.
Don't ask me anything.
I know.
No,
I
but
remember
I
once
do.
a long while ago, I was like, "Oh, ask me anything. I've got time." And then the next day came, I just didn't have any time to answer, so I just ended up forgetting about it. I was like, "Oh, that was fucking pointless." No one actually noticed that, and that just goes to show that people just write questions and they never notice whether someone's answered or not.
Yeah.
I just didn't get around to answering it. I was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
oops."
Same. But no, I also use like on Ulra, you know, you've got your little channels now. So I haven't done it on my personal profile, but I've set up a channel for Ulra. So it's
Tell
like
me about channels, because I don't understand how channels works. What
it's
is it?
basically a big chat group. So people can't post in there, but you can post and they can reply to you.
Hold on, yes. No, do you know what? Remember, did I message you about this saying,
No.
for some reason I can't get channels. It won't let me do it.
Oh,
I can't start. No, it's called a broadcast, no? Isn't it called a broadcast or something?
oh, maybe, yeah.
It's something like that.
Broadcast channel?
And then people can join it and they can engage with stuff in the broadcast,
Yeah.
but only you can write in there. Is that correct?
Yeah.
For some reason, I can do it on Polos, but I can't do it on mine. I don't know why. Every time I try to do it, it's like it's not available yet. I'm like, what? That is so annoying. I
Have you
actually
updated
need
your
to
app?
check that. Yeah, well, someone said you need to like delete and upgrade your app, and like, but yeah, who freaking knows? For some reason,
No time.
yeah, I'm just like, I haven't got time for that.
Yeah. I haven't done it on my personal thing because I haven't got time for that. But I do it on Ulra, and it's amazing on Ulra because I can post things like, what do you want to see next?
Right.
And I'll get 30 people write down what they want to see in Ulra. And it's brilliant market research because, and it's
Great.
engaging and it's part of that community thing as well. And hopefully some of those answers will be something, you know, not necessarily tomorrow, but 6 months, a year, they might see something that they've asked for come out. And I think that's really, really nice. We also do little giveaways in there. So it means that people who are just part of that group
Nice.
get to be a part of the giveaway.
That's cute.
We post sneak peeks before anyone else has seen them. So before they're on our main page, they get to see sneak peeks of stuff.
And they
it's
obviously
really cool.
these messages and these broadcasts as well go to people's inbox as well, don't they? So it means they're
Yeah.
likely to see it.
Yeah.
Do you ever do and again, just more from the brand point of view, do you ever think of doing the where people are like, oh, I'm taking over the Aura page today, and like say Kate Lindsall's like, you know, going to be posting stories, sharing her day. Like, have you ever thought of doing stuff like that, or have you done it?
I have, yeah, and I'd absolutely love to do that. I just haven't got around to it, but it's definitely been something on my radar because I think.
Do you know how they
it
do
would be
that?
great.
Do you just give your password to them?
No idea.
Because I was a bit like, but how do you do it? Because surely you're not just going to give your password out to people. Because then obviously, what's
We
to
try
say?
it.
Like that's what I mean.
Oh no!
But-
what would you post on?
But do you know? No, it's not even that. No, because and I don't know why this is the first thing that goes to my head. Like, let's say for example, you said, okay, Dan, here's the password. Go and take over Aura for the day. All good. What if I then was like, change password, change the page name to?
You're so cynical.
I know. I'm just like, what's to stop someone from actually doing and that taking over your business? Essentially, I was just like,
who are you going to be giving your password to?
I don't know. I'm just like, what if like Charlotte Robertson wants to end me and
You've got
like
trust issues.
obviously, yeah, literally. I'm just like, I ain't giving no one my password, bitch. I ain't giving you my password.
Hilarious.
Are there any, just to finish us off, are there any don'ts, any things that you always tell people like, oh, don't do this because it just will get you shadow banned or whatever, anything like that?
So I think not like, no, I think that generally I would say try not to, if you have quite personal opinions on things, Daniel Rosen,
I don't give personal opinions anymore,
I
actually.
would avoid sharing those kind of things on social media. So
Right.
just unless you love the
drama.
conflict and the drama, I would avoid doing that kind of thing. However, that being said, controversial people in certain industries, obviously that's how they grow,
Right.
by being controversial. Like that James Smith PT.
Exactly.
Like, love him.
Love
but
him.
that would be something I would avoid. And also I think you've got to be pretty thick-skinned to be able to be able to, if you're going to put it out, you need to be able to take it back. The fall back.
I love his stuff.
Quickly,
I love his stuff.
However, in terms, aside from that, I would say there's nothing not to do. I think all of it is trial and error. I think we learn from our mistakes, and we learn from, you know, testing things we post, and, you know, things like that. So I don't think there's anything that you shouldn't do. And I think it's worth doing it to learn from it. You can't learn from someone else posting something. Like, it's got to be from you. You know, and you also might do a post and it might fail in terms of the amount of likes, but you might get 4 really engaged people there, you know? And and if you're selling them a product off the back of that, then brilliant. Like, that's, you know, that's actually a win, right? So I think it's, you know, I think it's worth just a bit of trial and error. But yeah.
I think the reason I really like James is because, like, he has established that being controversial will get you a lot of engagement. It will make you popular. And again, for anyone listening to this, that can be a way that you might want to go. Maybe you have controversial opinions and that's what you want to do. You just got to remember that with controversial opinions, whilst it will make you super popular and you will gain a following from it, you're also going to be gaining a lot of people that don't like you because of it. Because, you know, with any controversial opinion, doesn't matter what it is, you're going to have people that don't agree with it. But what it does do is it finds you a lot more of the people who do agree with it. So it's a real fine line to balance, and you've got to be able to take that shit that comes with it.
Yeah, and I think in terms of personal brand, that's fine. I think in terms of business brand, as in if you're selling a service or a product, you definitely want to, you know, at the end of the day, people are either going to come onto my Aura page and go, oh, I really like the look of this stuff. Some people might come on there and go, oh God, no, that's absolutely hideous. Never wear that. Right. And that's fine as well. Like, I'm not saying, you know, merge in and make everyone like you.
Yeah.
But it's also just kind of, yeah, I think you're right. I think there's ways to build on it, but generally trying to the personal opinions that might cause the conflict, you know, not like whether you like chocolate or vanilla ice cream.
He did this hilarious thing where people were commenting shit on his pages saying, oh, this guy's a dick, blah, blah, blah. And he's then clicked on their pages because obviously he gets a lot of PTs come at him, doesn't he? So then he finds their PT page, he calls them, he calls them and he reposts their response, because he'll be like, hey, I saw this comment, I just wanted to find out why you commented that. And they'll be like, oh no, James, no. And they're like, they back off straight away. And it's so funny because it just goes to show like how people are so keyboard warrior online. But then as soon as you call them and you're like, why are you commenting that? They're like, whoa, he's actually called me. They're just doing it for a response, aren't they? But I love the way he dealt with that. I was like, oh, I tell you, next time someone does that to me, I'm absolutely going to give that a try because I think it'll be so funny.
You're not going to do that though, are you, Dan?
Well, I might. But yeah, thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate you taking the time out. I know you're a very busy person, but can you just tell everyone where they can find you on socials, where they can find all your products and stuff to go and buy?
Yeah, so Charlotte Pole Fit is my personal Instagram, and Aura Activewear is for Aura and all the glorious goodies there. So you can find them on our shop.
Yep, go and check them out. And we're going to be doing a giveaway with you soon. I am going to message you about that, actually. But it's on my to-do list. But yes, so if it isn't out already, make sure you check out the giveaway with Aura that we're going to be doing soon as well. So thank you so much. I appreciate you. I hope to see you soon. Bye. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. I really hope you're enjoying this series, and I hope it's teaching you a lot about what goes into social media behind the scenes. This is the sort of stuff that maybe you don't really hear much about, and I hope it's really opening your eyes to the life of social media and how hard it is to grow your name on socials. I hope that some of the tips are helping. If there's anything else you want to learn, let me know, and I'll see you on the next episode. Bye.
That was all the tea that you can get this week. Join me next time right here. It's the Weekly Tea.